I thought it was a dream. It's a nightmare, but like I was like, this is not true. Like what I'm seeing right now is just like a dream, and I need to wake up. I'm trying to wake up, but you can't. You can't run away from it.
Are you like 1000% hopeful, or is there any part of you that's worried what happens once there's sort of a power vacuum?
The Syrian situation is way different than Libya, I would say, because Gaddafi, what he got killed within like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Right, right, right.
Like they were not prepared for anything after. Oh, we just have a goal. We're gonna kill this guy, and it's over. They were not prepared. But Syria, we learned big lessons.
I think Islam hates us.
They have done nothing except wreak havoc and terror for our faith and our religion.
Professed values of the Western countries, democracy and constitutional and human rights, at least they should speak about this.
And it's like, I feel like religion just is making it worse. They say they believe in God, but I think they're just anxious.
Before we talk about politics, let's look at the fundamental things.
That when we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad.
And it requires people with guts to follow God in an era that everyone does whatever is right in their eyes.
Will you distance yourself from those who think differently? Or will you join us at the table and talk about what is really important? This is the Al-Ma'idah Initiative, conversation without compromise.
Well, Khalid, welcome to the Al-Ma'idah Initiative podcast.
Hey, James.
The reason you are here, for those listening in, is the guy who's basically the sort of de facto patriarch connected to everyone in the Arab community in Seattle is a guy called Osama, Lebanese guy. And I asked him who'd be the best person in our circle to talk to about Syria, and he told me to talk to you.
Okay.
So, no pressure, because our policy on this podcast is it's unfiltered, unedited, casual. And with something as big as Syria, there's obviously going to be a lot of different perspectives on this. So if anybody's watching this podcast and is frustrated by something we said or something we didn't cover, then my invitation to them is just going to be to come on the podcast themselves and talk about, their angle. We're not here to squash anyone's voice here. We're here to have honest, friendly conversations about difficult topics. So where in Syria are you from?
Northern Syria, a city called Idlib. I was born and raised in there. I lived in Damascus for a minute as well. Till I was 15 then, or like 14 when everything started, the revolution. Then I lived in Syria during the revolution for a year and a half to 2 years. Then we had to leave because we had some medical issues with one of my little sisters. Then lived in Turkey for 4 years. Then 7 years here now in the US.
So tell me about that journey, like out of Syria. What was that like for you? 14 years old. Was that like something you kind of saw coming for a long time? Was it something that's like, all right, we have to leave right now? Or how did that play out for you?
Okay. Again, I want to mention the age again. I was only 14 years old. It was tough. It was very tough. So my sister was diagnosed with cancer by the time that the revolution was happening, or like a few months before. And we had to take her from Idlib to Damascus for treatment every like week. And the revolution started. There's a lot of checkpoints on the road from any city to any city. We had to stop, like instead of making it within 5 hours, it used to take us like 10 to 12 hours, and it was very tough for her. She was only 5 years old. Now, after that, we needed a better treatment for her. So Turkey, since we're very close to Turkey, was the only option. Plus, like how bad the bombing civilians and killing them was. And my sister, till now, like she had all that, like she was taking all the chemo and all these treatments, and at the same time, like bombing, she got traumatized from whatever she saw. A lot. She was only 5 years old, and I was 14 as well. We saw things that you can actually only see in movies. Like, I don't mind sharing personal stories. I did see, she's not my first cousin, she's my mom's cousin. She got cut in half in front of my eyes. 14 years old kid watching that. I couldn't do anything. Was just shocked. I thought it was a dream. It's a nightmare, but like I was like, this is not true. Like what I'm seeing right now is just like a dream. And I need to wake up. I'm trying to wake up, but you can't. You can't run away from it. Then that was the time where we decided to like leave. We have to leave. If we I didn't want to leave. Personally, me, my dad, even my other siblings, like we were too young, but we didn't want to leave. This is our country. We're not leaving it. But then my sister was the big problem that we need to find we needed to find a solution for. We left Syria in 2012, late 2012. Um, we made it to the border between Turkey and Syria. The border was not open. I I was, let's say, I was taking care of my family. Me, there was I was 14 years old, and my cousin was old enough. He was in his like late 20s, and my other cousin was young 20s, like early 20s. Um, because my dad couldn't leave. My dad had a lot of things to finalize before he decided to leave, and I was the oldest in the family to try to take care of them. We lived on the border for 14 days. Again, my sister needed the chemo. 14 days were the hardest 14 days I've ever lived in my life. The first 2 days we had some food and water. Okay, we are like, but we're living under trees. At the first 2 days, we did not have anything, but just like some water, some clothes, some food. Then again, the hardest 14 days I've ever lived in my life. Um, sorry. um, we had the chance to get my sister once in these 14 days to Turkey inside to give her some treatment, and they got her back out of Turkey. And I still remember I slept for a few days with no food, no water. Like I did not care about myself. I was like, I can handle it. I'm a young guy, I can handle it. My other two brothers, I mean, when I say young, I was the oldest. I was 14. The younger brother was like, he was 11 and the other one was 9. And I have two other sisters and my mom. I I remember 3 days straight. I had no water, I had no food, I had nothing, and all I cared about was my little sister, my both sisters, and my mom and my other two brothers. We made it to Turkey because of her. The Turkish government decided to take, let's say, priority people, like people with like medical stuff, conditions. My sister was one of those people that got selected, and we made it to Turkey.
What's it like being in Turkey, not being in Syria, when all this stuff is going on in your home?
It was tough. I I mean, I was a kid, and that was my first time leaving the country ever. Um, Homesick every day, wanted to go back home every single day. Um, I was able to visit once, but then it made me want to go back more and more. Um, yeah, I did lose people. Well, in my family, we lost a lot of people in this. We did. Um, my uncle, he's not my first uncle, he's my dad's uncle, but he was very close to all of us. Like I don't want to say closer than my family, but he was like very close, like him and his sons. In 2014, um, I was at work when I was looking up the news on Facebook, where I saw this guy that I know, a journalist in Syria, where he says, "Oh, another genocide happening in Syria," and he posted pictures. It was a long statement, then pictures below. So I was like, this is too long. I'm not gonna read it. Allah yarhamhum. May Allah have some mercy on them. So I'm looking at the pictures. I couldn't recognize anybody because it was all like bloody faces. Like I couldn't recognize anybody. I was like, okay, no faces. I'm gonna have to read it. And I'm reading it. The part of when he was mentioning the names, I was like, wait. I was walking outside. I was like, hold on, wait. I read my uncle's name. I was like, no, like I didn't believe it. I was like, it's not no, it's not happening. Like how? Reading the rest of the names, the three of his sons. Then I stopped. The youngest son he has was my age. I was like, this guy is gonna be sad forever. I keep reading, his name was one of it as well. They killed 4 sons, all the sons he has. They killed him, his wife, 2 of sons' wives. The only one survival was the one of the wives, but the daughter. His daughter, he had only one daughter. She survived it, but she was crying and begging them to kill her because she doesn't want to suffer. She doesn't want to live the trauma. And the soldier, one of the soldiers was like, no, I'm not killing you purposely. I don't want to kill you. I want you to suffer. I want you to live this forever. So me as Syrian that lost his people this way, how do you expect me not to fight Iran and the Syrian government after what they did? How do you expect me not to be happy about what's happening right now in Syria? How do you expect me not to be happy that we are getting our lands back, we are getting our houses back, and justice is very near?
My basic understanding of the timeline is the sort of civil war in Syria, if you can call it that, starts with the Arab Spring, with protests against Bashar al-Assad's government.
Yeah.
And then the Syrian military starts shooting protesters. People react to that shooting. The government reacts worse, and everything kind of escalates from there. Is that what you're getting?
Yes. So I wanna correct you with one thing. I personally, I don't call it a civil war. None of my people do. None of any person who supports what's happening in Syria or what's they call it revolution, and it is a revolution. When the first day we went out to protest, we named it, it's a very peaceful revolution. Us protesting outside, peacefully protesting. The first day, what happened basically was there was like 3 or 4 kids from a city in Syria called Dara. They went to they wrote on a wall that the beginning of the Arab Spring, they said, it's your turn. 13 years old kids, 13 and below. And how the government reacted to that by arresting all these kids and killing them. One of the kids' name is, if you look it up, it's so sad. His name was Hamza al-Khatib. This guy, like they shot him, they burned him. He when after like the videos and the pictures of this guy after he was killed, he's just like super like we don't even know what they did to him. The way they treated this guy, this 13-year-old kid in jail, was insane. If you watch the videos or like the photos, just type in Hamza al-Khatib. It's so sad, man. It's so sad. So his family, before they killed him, before they said that they killed him, his family and the other kids' families, they went to check on them. They're like, what's happening here? Like, can we get our kids back? And one of the soldiers was like, no, you would never get your kids back. Go get another, like, other kids. Just go adopt kids. Go get kids from somewhere else. No kids for you here. So those people, like, I'm not gonna let nobody, not just anyone else, not just no matter how powerful you are, you have my kid, I'm gonna do whatever to get my kid out. The families, they did not do anything bad but protesting again. how did the government react to that? Bombing protesters. Like imagine like you're peacefully protesting and there's an airstrike coming at you. That's just like a movie.
Yeah.
They started bombing civilians, shooting them left and right. Doesn't matter. Bombing. They also. I want to mention this. They started bombing the mosques from day one. Every single mosque they bombed it. So this is okay. If I do have weapons at my house, and I know somebody's coming to break into my house, kill my brothers, do what, like, coming to destroy me and my family, and I have the weapons, I'm gonna defend myself no matter what, no matter who you are. I'm defending myself. If I have the weapon, if I have the power, you're not doing this till you kill me first. People were still protesting only, but then the army, at this point, the army is killing people. The army that was supposed to protect us is killing us now. Yeah, they go randomly to any city, knock on the door. They don't even knock on the door. They break into the house, destroy everything, rape women, take them to prison. I don't know if you saw any videos from what's happening now. They released a lot of women prisoners. I was watching the video and crying because I know what they faced in prison. I know how bad these animals, the government, how bad they are. When they arrest somebody, I'm telling you, like, there's a saying in Syria says, if you get arrested in Syria, you're not seeing the daylight again. And trust me, you're not gonna see it again. Today, from whatever battle happening today in Hama today, they released a lot of prisoners. Some of them got arrested 40 years ago.
Wow.
Just for no reason. Some of them are Lebanese, by the way.
Wow.
I have sources, Lebanese, like, by the way, their families, they think that they're dead. Now, I have one of my uncles. He's not my first uncle, he's my dad's uncle. We believe that he's dead. He got arrested in 2012. And the last news we heard 3 years ago or 4 years ago, that he's dead. We don't know. At this point, we actually do not know if he's dead or not. He might get released from one of these prisons. So yeah, and then the soldiers, seeing that, okay, hold on, we're killing people instead of protecting them. Like, this is not why we're here. So a lot of those soldiers left the Syrian army, and they created something called the Free Syrian Army. And they at first they were protecting protesters only, protecting cities from attacks. But then the Syrian government wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop attacking. They wouldn't stop. It's crazy that they airstrike protesters. And they call us terrorists. Like, okay, like, how does that work? You're the one who's killing me with your aircrafts, and you call me a terrorist. Like, I don't even have a weapon for you to call me a terrorist. I'm not attacking you. I'm not the one who's killing you. Who's killing your dad, who's raping your woman. You're the one who's doing this to me, and you call me a terrorist. So at this point, people are like, okay, it's not happening anymore. We have the Free Syrian Army. People start joining, and battles are happening now in every city in Syria. Iran joins from the very first day. Iran is on the Syrian government side from day one. With that, the Free Syrian Army was still winning. Okay, you are fighting an army, but we are also, like, we used to serve for the same army. Like, we are soldiers. We know how to fight. At some point, almost every single city in Syria was free from Bashar al-Assad's control and Iran. Every single city, but like 2 or 3 cities, which is Damascus. Only like the city of Damascus, And the other two cities where this guy was born, in one of it was it's called Latakia,
Mm-hmm.
and then probably I think Tartus. That's another city um next to Latakia. Everything was going like the revolution in the first 2 years was going straight. No mistakes. I mean, there are mistakes here and there. Every revolution has mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
But like up until like this guy was like, okay, I'm still like with all the help I'm getting from Iran, I'm still losing. So he calls Russia now at this point, and you are fighting the second um powerful, like the second st- man, the second
Superpower?
sure powerful country in the world after the US. Um yeah, now the Free Syrian Army is fighting these like three different countries. The country, the Syrian government, Iran, and its militias. Oh, they have a lot, like from Iraq, from Lebanon, even Afghanistan. Even
Mhm.
they have literally got fighters from Afghanistan and Russia. All those people against us. All those people. The thing is, they're not attacking the Free Syrian Army only. They do have battles between each other. We win, you win, fine. They attack civilians, man. They do. Just like what's happening in Gaza now. Okay, if you're go fight who's fighting you. They get mad, they bomb civilians. Millions, hundreds of thousands of people got killed. Over 1 million in Syria got killed by those people. Not including all the people that got displaced.
Right, which is like 12 million.
Something like that, yes. A lot. I posted it on my Instagram story the other day. I got the numbers. About 100. I don't have the numbers on me now, but a lot of them were Palestinian. A lot. Till today, in prisons, they do have Palestinians.
Is that from when the Syrian government was in Lebanon?
No, this is okay. There's a refugee camp in Damascus called Mukhayyam al-Yarmouk. Mukhayyam al-Yarmouk refugee camp. It's a refugee camp for Palestinians. It's all houses, like
Mm-hmm.
Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president. He destroyed the entire refugee camp that Mukhayyam al-Yarmouk. He destroyed it. Like every single like when I say he destroyed it, he actually destroyed it. So they arrested Palestinians from there, from Mukhayyam al-Yarmouk. Yeah.
The first Syrian refugee I met in Seattle in 2013 was a Palestinian guy who was from that area in Damascus and made it over here.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Ali?
Ali?
Yeah.
Or his last name is Ali.
His first name's Ali. I forgot his last name.
Okay.
Someone called Ali probably doesn't narrow it down all that much.
Does he do Dabka?
I don't think so.
Okay, then it's probably someone else.
His wife's called Zelda.
Okay, he's married, then no.
Yeah, okay. Different guy. Yeah, if you want to start a conversation with the Arab guy, be like, "Hey, are you Ali's cousin?" It's like, yes, but be more specific.
Ali or Muhammad.
I do that with if I want to start up a conversation with a Russia, I'm like, "Hey, are you Dima's cousin?" It's like, so in what 2013,
Mm-hmm.
another spanner in that works, something that like messed up the whole situation, was the emergence of ISIS/Daesh, right?
Yes.
So now, wasn't everybody fighting them? Wasn't the Syrian government, the Free Syrian Army, and the Kurdish army all fighting ISIS?
Well, the Free Syrian Army was fighting them, the Kurdish as well. Not the Syrian government. No, okay. There's a lot of people say it, and there was some documents as well, that most of these ISIS that were in Syria, a lot of them were released from prisons in Syria, like the actual criminals, not the people that got arrested for protesting, like actual criminals. They didn't make a deal with them. They just like, okay, well, you're free if you do this, and then they created ISIS in Syria. If it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not only them leading ISIS. There's like definitely like people joined from all the countries all over the world where they used to come to enter Syria from Turkey. But a lot of them were like actual criminals in prisons that got released and they joined ISIS. But the first people to fight them was us, like the civilians in Syria. Like when I say civilians, I mean it. Like I remember that some people said, like credible sources, people said that at some point every single person was fighting these guys, even like with like rocks. Like we hate you guys. We don't want you here. So the Free Syrian Army was the first army to fight them, then Kurds. But no, a negative with the Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian regime. No, why would they do that? Like they released them to ruin the revolution.
So the revolution is caught up fighting ISIS for years then.
Yeah.
So you can't deal with the Syrian government while you're dealing with ISIS.
They were dealing with both. They were trying to like, well, we had no choice. You're dealing with both, like dealing with ISIS in a city and dealing with the government in another city.
So then, but even with Russia on the side of the Syrian government, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the Free Syrian Army and the anti-government coalition has still managed to maintain independence in the north of the country.
Wait, say that again?
So even with Russia on the side of the government,
yeah,
it looks like your revolutionary forces, just to describe everyone conveniently, seems to have managed to hold on to territory in the north, even with Russia on
100%.
the side of the government.
It took them, for all these people, like Russia, the government, Iran, and everyone else, it took them about 3 years to take Aleppo from the Free Syrian Army. 3 years. Last week, it took the Free Syrian Army about like a day to take it back. So yeah, they were able to manage the entire territory they had.
So what do you think has changed that has made that possible? Why is a Syrian army that was able to take back Aleppo from the revolution 3 years ago?
It took them 3 years, but it was in 4 years ago. It was in 2020. The last big battle they had was in 2020.
Okay, so the Syrians took back Aleppo in 2020.
2019, 2020, yeah.
What's changed in Syria that has made it so the revolutionaries were able to take Aleppo so fast from the government?
Okay. At first I was shocked. I was shocked like everybody else. I was like, how? Like, what's happening? What's making them taking it in a day or 2 days? But then you look at it from another perspective. Who took Aleppo from the Free Syrian army? It was Russia. Basically Russia. Like Russia's doing all the work. Russia's not there anymore. Iran is very weak. Everyone else that is supporting Bashar, the Syrian government, is very weak now. Now, if you go back to my point when I said when the first like few battles that happened between the Free Syrian Army and the government army, as I said, we were like the Free Syrian Army was winning every battle, because you're fighting cowards. They are actually cowards. They're fighting. They're just like there to kill people. When it comes to an actual fight, they don't know how to fight. But then Russia joins. They were able to take it. Now Russia's not there. Iran is very weak. It was very easy, not just easy. The past 4 years since the last battle, those people, the Free Syrian Army, have been preparing for this. I don't know if you saw any of the drones attack. It's making a difference in the battle now. We never had no drones, nothing before. Now, it's easy for them because they're fighting cowards again, and they're so weak now. The government, Iran, everyone else, they're very weak. And again, the past 4 years, these guys were not just like sitting down in Idlib watching Russia and the Syrian government bombing us every day and killing civilians. We are cooking. We are 4 years of just preparing for this. And I don't know if you heard that a lot of people are saying time is suspicious because it happened. They started the attack the day of the ceasefire in Lebanon. Time is definitely not suspicious. Us and Palestinians, we have the same struggle. It is the same struggle. Like in Aleppo, what we did in Aleppo, Free Syrian Army, what they did, they kicked out the people who don't belong to Aleppo. You took my house in 2020. I left. I grew up. I prepared myself. I'm back to take my house back. That's what exactly happened last week. Same struggle. Time is not suspicious. It's the perfect timing for the Syrian Revolution, for the Free Syrian Army to attack. We're not gonna sit down there, watch the Syrian government, Russia, Iran, all those people rebuilding themselves again, reloading to attack us again. It's not happening. You guys are weak now. It's our opportunity to get rid of you. You don't belong here. I call it an occupation in Syria as well. Iran, you don't belong here. Why do you exist in here? This is my house. This is my land. Same thing with Russia. You guys belong to your countries. Go back to your countries. Because you are here to destroy this country. You are here to kill civilians, innocent people. And they use the excuse that, oh, we're here to help Palestine. Not a single bullet or rocket or anything was launched from Syria towards Palestine. Their existence in Syria is just an excuse to kill more people and to occupy more houses and more lands. Time is, again, time is not suspicious at all. And if people who think that time is suspicious and we're doing this for Israel, we're not. We're doing this for our own people. We are not gonna wait on the Syrian government and Iran to reload and kill us back again. It's not happening. Enough is enough, and we've had enough.
I've been following a lot of this on X this week, and I think what people like to do is think too much in a big picture sense. So they're trying to explain everything going on in Syria as a struggle between the West and Iran, or between Iran and Turkey, or the West and Russia, or, choose your poison. But the reality is, big countries are always going to have specific interests.
100%.
And ultimately, it makes complete sense to me that Syrians are going to work in the interest of Syrians. Ultimately.
Correct.
And to blame, oh yeah, this is all Turkish or American or, a secret Israeli plan or something. Even if those people have vested interests in what's happening, it doesn't take away anything that has happened in Syria or people's desire for change in Syria. And I think if I was in the situation of the Syrian rebels having fought an asymmetric war where you're the technological underdog for what, 11 years now?
12.
12. I would take every opportunity I get.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, again, back to like, I'm not gonna let you reload and build yourself again, and because I know you're gonna attack me again. I know you're gonna kill me. So, and this is my chance. I'm taking it. Yeah.
So obviously Aleppo fell. Okay, that's a news media way of putting it. Aleppo was taken, what, 5 days ago now?
More than 5.
More than 5, like a week ago.
Like a week, yeah.
And then it seems like something big's happening today as well. What's been happening today?
Okay, today, I was watching the news and crying at work. When I was waiting, I was in my car waiting. I was watching and literally crying, watching all these videos of people getting back to their houses. So what's happening today? What happened a few hours ago? They took back a city called Hama. So there's a big history with this city specifically. If you go back in time to 1982, when his dad was the president, his dad killed 38,000 people in 1 week. In Syria, you cannot be against the government. You cannot say a single word against them. This guy surrounded the entire city with the army and made it clear. He was like, destroy the city. I don't want it. And they did. They raped women. They killed kids. They survival stories. One of the stories that broke my heart, a woman said they used to take babies, like when I say baby, like 2 to 3 months old, in front of their family's eyes, all the way to like 10th floor, whatever floor, and throw them in front of their mom's eyes, just for being from that city. When the revolution started, the first biggest protest we had, it came out from Hama. 1 million people came out in one protest the first 2 3 weeks of the revolution, because those people did not forget. We won't forget. We won't forgive either. You destroyed my family. Like, so today, getting Hama back is a huge thing for people. The people of Hama today, that they were under the government excuse me, control. Today, they were waiting for the Free Syrian Army. The minute they joined, these guys came out of their houses welcoming them. They released the prisoners today from the people. Like imagine you're a dad and your kid is in a prison and you don't know what prison, what prison he's in, and you made it. You walk into this prison to release the people, and then you're so shocked that your kid is one of them. This happened a few hours ago, where this guy walks in and his son is in there.
Wow. Yeah, so if the Syrian government has just been locking people up and throwing away the key, it really makes every release of prisoners a complete mystery of who's going to be there.
Yeah.
So how do you think, obviously you can't know the future, but how are things looking? Does it look like the revolutionaries are going to take Damascus? Is that the goal? Like,
that's the goal. That's 100%. That's the goal. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, one of the journalists was talking to another journalist on it was a phone call, a video call. And they said that they showed us like everything before the attack, because like those journalists are like on front line all the time. They said we looked at the plan like a year ago. The plan was for Aleppo only. They planned for like 2.5 years, or like a year, I think. They planned a year of time to take it, but they were shocked that they were able to take it in less than 2 days. So Your question is, what's after, basically, what's after Hama?
Yeah.
And what's the goal? The goal is, yes, Damascus it is. Now there's one city between Damascus and Hama. It's called Homs. That's one of the biggest cities in Syria. It is the biggest cities. Homs is also one of the cities that got destroyed. Remember the refugee camp I told you that got destroyed on to
Yeah.
the ground? This city got destroyed to the ground as well. It's very close to Lebanon. It was very easy access for Iran. And it was surrounded by by Alawis. Like Alawis are the Bashar al-Assad's people. Now I'm assuming, well, I'm just gonna say I'm assuming that the biggest battle that ever happened in Syria is going to happen in that city. It's gonna be something like really big, because again, it's a big city, it's huge, and if we take it, Damascus is over. Damascus is after, and I'm telling you now, a lot. If you look at the news, the people of Damascus are waiting for the Free Syrian Army, and there's a lot of armed people there that they used to be in the revolution, and they did not. They somehow still have their weapons. They are waiting, and the goal is Damascus. Yes, 100%.
So essentially, it seems like Homs is going to be where the Syrian government's going to put everything they have and throw everything they have left at the battle, because from what I understand, that kind of like cuts off their route to the sea, basically. So you've got the Alawite territory on the coast, and you have Damascus, which is kind of Assad's strong area, his like home turf. And if Homs is taken, then it basically cuts him off from his base, and he's surrounded, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, Damascus is the goal. Because why not? Because we're very close to Damascus now, and Damascus is our land. It's not his land. Sorry, what was it? Was that a question or just like a statement?
Just a conversation piece.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm understanding you properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, we just can't wait to see what's gonna happen in Homs. Yeah.
So for me, like looking on this from the outside, seems like it could be a really exciting opportunity for Syria as a country. At the same time, there's a little bit of me that's nervous thinking back to what happened in Libya after Gaddafi was killed. Are you like 1000% hopeful, or is there any part of you that's worried what happens once there's sort of a power vacuum?
Okay, me personally, I like to focus on the thing I'm doing. Like I think of the steps after, like when it's turn, then okay, now we need to deal with it. But of course, we have to have a plan for it, like at least like basic, a very basic plan. The Syrian situation is way different than Libya, I would say, because Gaddafi, he got killed within like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Right.
Like they were not prepared for for anything after. Oh, we just have a goal, we're gonna kill this guy and it's over. They were not prepared. But Syria, we learned big lessons. Even now, the fighters of the Free Syrian Army, they were not the same when we lost Aleppo back in 2020. A lot of them went on the media and they said, we learned lessons from our battles. Like you learn. And yeah, again, back to Libya, within like 3 to 4 weeks, the guy was dead. It's hard to control the country. But for us, it's a bit different, I would say, because it's been 12, 13 years now. People are not looking for like another like war, let's say. Like people have got enough that they know what they want now. And if you look back at Aleppo, we took it like last week. The Free Syrian Army took it last week. Um, when it was under Bashar al-Assad's control, uh, electricity, they used to get it for like 2 to 3 hours a day. Now it's 24 hours. Like there's huge difference between us leading us and them leading us. Um, Same thing is gonna go to Hama. Like no electric. The minute we get it back, everything is back. It's not just us getting back to our houses. It's us and bringing everything else that we lost. So yeah, I feel like it's a bit different than Libya, and but if I'm being honest, I don't know what's after. Again, there's a goal. They definitely have something for after. These guys who are leading the battle now, they know what they're doing. They definitely have a plan for after, but we don't know what the plan is.
Sure. And there's a lot of different factions all fighting together, right? So there's
All fighting together, yes.
yeah. So there's Giuliani's faction, which is HTS. I forgot what that was short for.
Giuliani, yeah.
Hayat Tahrir Sham al Shams.
Hayat Tahrir al-Sham.
I was close.
Yes. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Yeah, it's basically led by this guy, Abu Muhammad al-Jolani.
Then you have a sort of Muslim Brotherhood faction, and then you have a sort of more secular faction, and then you have the Kurds as well, right?
Kurds are not fighting with us now. They're just watching at the moment. But yeah, all of these guys got united under something called إدارة العمليات العسكرية, I believe, and they're all fighting together. They all have probably like different vision for what's after, but again, back to the point where we are fighting this person right now. Let's focus on it. Then we can agree and disagree on things after.
Right. So seems like the people who are most nervous now are going to be the minority communities in Syria, which so far, while there's been bits and pieces here and there, war zones and chaos create some bad things sometimes.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, Christians are generally being left alone in Syria. They're, in fact, I believe in Giuliani's territory, they actually just started allowing church services a year ago.
Thank you.
Right?
Now, yeah. Aleppo, they took Aleppo back. For Christian people, they didn't leave. Because why would I leave? It doesn't mean Christian, Muslim, it doesn't matter. This is your land. You're in your land. We're not gonna do anything to you. They did their prayers regularly. They went to the church, and who was protecting them? They had the Free Syrian Army that freed this city, surrounding the whole church and protecting them. We don't have no problems with them. They're Syrians, we're Syrians. Let's not say they're Christians and we're Muslims. They're Syrians, we're Syrians. So they made it clear every time they attack a city now, the Free Syrian Army, they say, if you stay in your house, you're safe. If you do this, if you do not fight us, you're safe. Even as a soldier, if you put down your weapon, you're safe. If you did something, if you killed people and all of that, we're gonna talk about this later. But for now, you're safe. But for minorities, you're Syrian. I'm Syrian.
Well, what's actually really interesting in the history of Syria, from the sort of earliest days of the sort of Islamic expansion, I think Syria was actually always kind of on the cutting edge of who could be involved in public life in the sort of Islamic world. So Muawiyah, he was the first governor of Syria, right?
Muawiyah?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I believe he was. He at least was the governor under the Khilafah of Omar.
Sham. It was not Syria back then. Syria didn't exist, or Jordan or Palestine. It used to be like Bilad Sham.
Sure.
Like Sham, yeah.
But Muawiyah was the one whose kind of headquarters was in Damascus. And under his government, you had, Christians in the government from, the earliest days.
Yeah.
So Syria has a very long tradition of religious tolerance.
Yeah.
in the country. I suppose probably I would expect that people who are going to be most nervous right now would be the Alawites and the Kurds.
Okay, I don't have much knowledge to talk about the Kurds.
That's fine. I'm going to have a Kurdish guy on in a couple weeks or something.
No, yeah, I have stuff to say still, but they did the people who are leading the battle now. They made it clear. They announced it that as long as you guys are not fighting us, we're not fighting you guys because you guys are Syrians. We are Syrians. Same thing with the Alawis. Even though they killed thousands of a lot of them were involved in the genocide in Syria. They made it clear. They said as long as you stay at your house, you don't take your weapon out and shoot at us, you're safe. And there's no need to, we are all gonna live in peace together after this guy. And they're asking them to join, to help us. Like, listen, you guys, we are not here for you guys. We're here for this guy specifically. Help us or stay at your house. Then after that, we're all gonna live in peace together. Whether Alawis, us, Sunnis, or even Kurds.
So I guess last piece of this, you're living in the US now. How do you hope the US foreign policy towards Syria will be going forward?
I don't know if I have a good answer for that. So Trump said that the minute he goes to the office, he's gonna get all the US military back. Um, and honestly, I think that's all we really need from the US. Like, just get your people back. I don't really have a good answer for that.
Sure. I think kind of like leaving it alone is a good answer in itself. I think what I would personally like to see with the West and Syria is non-coercive investment.
Yeah.
That wants to help people rebuild, but isn't coming with a bunch of stipulations on you have to do this, and this, and isn't sort of shady and underhanded. Because I think a peaceful and prosperous Syria is good for everybody.
Yeah, and maybe like try not to like let anyone like divide Syria to pieces. That's a good thing for if the US can help with that. Because we don't want it to be divided. I personally, and I can say that every other Syrian would say the same thing, that we don't want it to get divided. So, all we need is like get rid of the government we have right now, replace it with a better government. That's it.
So I suppose probably, again, if you completely defeat the Syrian government, probably the Kurds become the trickiest piece in keeping united Syria, because a lot of the Kurds really do want some form of autonomy going forward.
Yeah, but again, the Free Syrian Army, they said that as long as you guys don't fight us, that we're not gonna fight you guys. So I don't know what the plan is. It's not out there. But I agree. If you don't fight me, I'm not gonna fight you. We can all live in peace. But again, it's like living in peace mean like I just said we don't want it to be divided, but I don't feel like with the Kurds and the Free Syrian Army, like it's definitely gonna get divided if we don't agree on something.
Yeah.
And I see where you're coming from when you say it's a tricky part. Yeah. It's gonna be very tricky because the Kurds are not gonna definitely not gonna agree on Free Syrian Army leading Syria, and the Free Syrian Army is not gonna agree on them leading Syria. So they need to agree on something and make it work out for Syria not to get divided. And hopefully it works, because man, it's enough. It's just enough.
Right. I think being in the situation the Syrian people have been in, I think that where the Kurds are coming from is understandable. And you've got to basically figure out how to, if you don't want there to be some division at some point, people have got to figure out a way to trust each other.
Yeah.
Which is so hard after a time like this.
After 13 years of killing each other, yes, it's hard. It is gonna be a tricky, very tricky part in Syria not getting divided. Yeah, in the term of not dividing Syria, they need to make it work out between the Kurds and the other side.
I think in any time like this, you need level-headed people involved who everyone can feel like they have everyone's best interests in mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not even talking about in a sort of government capacity, but in capacity of people who are willing to sort of get involved and start conversations between people and help have friendly, honest conversations where people can speak their minds.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're going to really build the culture of a future Syria where everybody feels like they can be a part of it.
Yeah, thinking about dividing the country, it's like we don't want it to be like Sudan, like two Sudans, like two Syria, like no. Don't know how they're gonna make it work, because the Kurds, they do have a big part of Syria now that under their control. Well, if we do get Homs and Damascus, we'll definitely have a bigger part now. But that's not what we want. We want the whole thing to be united under one person. One good person. One good president. We don't want Bashar al-Assad in another person.
Well, yeah, it's going to be for the revolution to win the war. It's going to be hard work, and to build a peaceful, prosperous Syria is going to be even harder work.
It's gonna take more than the 13 years we just lost. It's definitely gonna take more time than that.
I think this is a good place to land the podcast. Here is to a peaceful, prosperous Syria.
Yes.
Thank you guys for listening to the Al Maida Initiative podcast. We'll be back next time.